Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us online today. Thank you. Welcome to Entrepeleaders Webinar. First thing first, I want to say I'm completely sorry for the delay. We are about 40 minutes late for our meeting, and this is technology, and that's still no excuse. I'm completely sorry about that, but I'm still excited to see you guys, and I promise you the wait was completely worth it. My name is Aaron Langard Okenkali, and I am the CEO of Entrepreneurs School, and with me I've got Zac Rusagara. Hey Zac, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you for having me.
Great, Zac. Great, Zac. It's good to see you. Let's get into this, guys. So I'm assuming every single person that is connected right now is here because they want to know more about entrepreneurship and how to start up. Okay, is that the case? I want to say throughout this webinar, please, guys, if you hear anything and you have questions about it, please make sure you put your question in the comment. The questions are going to be given either to Zac or myself, and make sure we answer these questions. All right, guys, so we're not going to waste any more time. Let's jump into it. So Zac, I know you have traveled a bit. You are from here. You've traveled the world. You've been in Australia, I think, and then you've lived in Sweden. Is it Sweden?
Norway.
Norway. You've lived in Norway,
Yes.
and then you decided to come back home, and you started. You've been involved in many businesses, and now you are the CEO of a completely new company. I'm not going to mention it, but Zac has worked with the FlickPay team, the SnapScan team. And before we go any further, can you tell us about the work you've done with SnapScan, FlickPay, and what was it like for you?
Thank you. Thanks for having me here, Aaron. I really appreciate it, and it's such an honor to be speaking at your school. For me, entrepreneurship has always been in my blood, and I think looking back, I realized that I probably started when I was when we moved to South Africa. So I was born in Rwanda and raised in Kenya. That's my home country,
Wow.
East Africa. And then we moved to South Africa when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And the way I got into entrepreneurship, now when I look back, I realize it is being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But we were very, very poor when we got to South Africa. And I went to a school, it was a semi-private school, and I never had any money to do much, and all my friends at the time had pocket money and so on. So I offered to wash one of the teacher's cars in exchange for 20 Rand. I'll never forget it. So 20 Rand was the money that I was getting paid at the time.
Yeah.
And of course the other kids laughed at me and, oh, you're washing the cars and you know, that kind of thing. And so fast forward to about 3 weeks later, I was washing every single teacher's car.
Wow.
Using the school's resources, using the vacuum cleaner, their water, everything. And I had too many cars to wash for myself, so I started recruiting friends. And what I did was I told them, look, I get paid 10 Rand to wash a car, okay? So I'll give you 5 Rand if you wash the car with me, okay? And then it only took me about 2 months, and I was washing pretty much every car in the lot, as well as on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And on a Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, we had all the sports kids who did sports. They all came to the school with their parents.
Yeah.
So we had an excess of 50, 60 cars because the
Wow.
parents were coming to watch the kids play sport. And I had a team of about 20 or 30 of my friends at school washing
Wow.
cars for me.
Wow.
And so that's eventually how actually I realized I'm pretty good at this. I don't need to wash cars anymore. And
Yeah.
I can control the whole team and cut them into the profits.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't a laughing stock anymore, but I was able to pay some money to myself and also show some leadership qualities. And the teachers obviously saw what was happening, and I think for them it was really interesting to see such a young kid. I was 13 at the time.
Wow.
You know, employing almost 30 different children in the school.
Wow.
So that's how I got started into entrepreneurship, and then I did my university in Stellenbosch. That's another story, and I ended up moving to Australia at the time. I was there for quite some time, and then I was offered a scholarship to go to Norway. So I went to the Peace Research Institute together with the Nobel Institute. They run a master's program in political science and economics.
Yeah.
So I went and did that, and then I moved back to Cape Town in 2012.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it is there where I then reconnected with some friends that I had studied with, who were starting a company at the time, which then became SnapScan. So to me, technology has always been the way out of poverty technology has been very, very interesting to me because I saw the speed at which it was changing.
Yeah,
Facebook,
yeah.
Instagram, all these things we take for granted today. At the time, I was very interested in what is this, how does it work? And so I find that having a constant sense of curiosity,
Yeah.
that in itself is honestly the thing that I can recommend to everyone.
Wow. By the way, guys, I met Zac through my fiance and a friend, and eventually we had a coffee together. We had not a coffee, sorry, we had a supper together. I got to know him. An amazing person, great personality, but I didn't know this story. I'm finding out now. And that's an amazing story. It's very encouraging because a lot of people assume it takes, when they look at entrepreneurs that have succeeded, they assume it takes all the money in the world, but all it takes is a simple idea and to start with what you have. And what you had was the school resources,
yeah.
And you started cleaning cars with that, and that's what you started with. And so, a lot of people have a misunderstanding around the term entrepreneurship and starting up. It's something. It's not about becoming a millionaire. It's not about I want to make quick bucks. I think it's important we redefine it because a lot of people are getting confused on what it means to start up an entrepreneurship. So Zac, how would you define entrepreneurship and what does it mean to you to start up? What is entrepreneurship to you?
That's a very good question, Aaron. Personally, I see it as the fear, overcoming a fear of failure.
Yeah.
And I know that's something that, as entrepreneurs, it is something that we battle with constantly.
Yeah.
Whether it's a new product or a new business that you want to launch. I'm 33 years old. I've only ever known entrepreneurship. And I joke that I would be a terrible employee, and I probably have been in the past because, honestly, the fear of failure goes hand in hand with adventurousness, fun, play, but also being capable to take new risks.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like what we've done, the world that we live in, has taken these high-flying, successful entrepreneurs and turned them into myths and legends.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks that starting, unless you have $1 billion company, you're a failure.
Yeah.
But what we don't see is all the different failures, whether it's Elon Musk, the fact that he was bullied so hard he needed facial reconstructive surgery.
Yeah, sure.
The fact, so many people have failed along the way. We look at Steve Jobs, one of the greatest innovators that's ever lived. He's failed along the way. So it's very easy to look at only the success and focus on the success and completely miss that the journey that leads you to success is filled with failures.
Yeah.
And the only way that you're going to get to success is going through that failure.
Absolutely.
You have to do that.
It's beautiful what you say because you're jumping onto one of the questions that I have and one of the points I wanted to make. But here's a question for all of you watching, and I know every single person has got this question. Okay, can anyone start up? Can anyone start up? That's the question. Zac, do you think anyone listening to us right now, can anyone, regardless of your age, start up?
The simple answer is yes. The younger you are, the easier and the better it is to start up. That's how I look at it. I would say that the best advice that I've ever received was really to not be afraid of failure, and I will keep coming back to this because that is the defining characteristic of being able to start up. Can anyone start up? Yes. Should anyone start up? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Why do I say that? Because I would say the core pillar, the fundamental of entrepreneurship, of being an entrepreneurial person, is overcoming your fear of failure.
Yeah.
Understanding that you can start up and anyone can start up.
Yeah.
And most importantly, being self-aware. Now, what do I mean by self-awareness? It means that understanding yourself, knowing that you're not good in certain area, understanding your skill set, and surrounding yourself with people who then make up for that shortfall.
Yeah.
So you might be very good with numbers, but you're not very good with creativity.
Yeah.
You might be an excellent creator, but you can't sell.
Yeah.
So yes, the reason why I'm saying not everyone should start up is because it's very easy to think starting up is me alone, I'm doing everything by myself, and that makes me successful. No. There's an old saying that if you want to go far, go together. So if you surround yourself with the right people, that's why things like this is crucial.
Yeah.
And if you look at all the successful innovators, all the way back to Da Vinci, again, I'm going to come back to Steve Jobs, the way he came up with a graphic user interface, the one that we use today. It's because he went to these types of conferences. He went to schools.
He did.
He surrounded himself with people who made him think and scratch his head. And so to me, can anyone start up? 100% anyone can start up, but probably don't try and start up alone.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're saying that. And that's why the name of our school is essentially Entrepreneleaders School. Because what people realize is that for an entrepreneur to be successful, they need to learn leadership skills. And that's why we've combined two words, entrepreneur and leaders, into one word, becoming Entrepreneleaders, because you can't do this on your own. My next question for you is you saying anyone can start up. Okay, maybe not everyone should start up, but anyone can start up. If that's the case, for the guys listening to us right now, we are in the middle of COVID-19. Everybody's complaining, everybody's saying life is tough, etc., etc. If I want to start right now and today, what do you suggest? What are some of the things that I can do to start up?
Number one, you look at the needs around you.
Yeah.
So you have to create the market. You have to create the space that you're in. A lot of the times, the need isn't necessarily something that that people are noticing. So I would say, examine your surroundings, look around you. What is it that you would want to have? What do you want to use?
Okay, so Zac, thank you so much for all your answers. I think we're on to something so far, and I'm loving where the conversation is going. So I want to stop for a second and just focus on the concept of failure, right? If you guys haven't heard this, there's a stats out there that says 9 out of 10 startups will fail. Okay, 9 out of 10 startups will fail. Only 1% will succeed. And what that means is that a lot of us, even myself, when I was at university going into business, I wanted to be part of that 1% that will succeed. Like, I want to be the one that's going to succeed. The problem with that kind of mindset is that when you end up failing, which is probably going to be the case, you feel like, oh, I'm not part of the 9%. I have failed. But that's not the reality. We want to change that mindset. I want you right now, you who are listening, if you are going into business, I need you to know that you will fail. Okay, I'll say this once again, so you're not confused about what I'm saying. You will fail. And I'm not saying this to be harsh, I'm saying this because it's a hard reality of starting up, okay? So you're gonna be part of the 9% who fail. The question is not, what if I fail? The question is, what do I do when I fail? And my question to Zac is, I'm sure you failed. Can you share with us some of your challenges, some of your failures, and what did you do to overcome your failures?
So, it's very good to have a conversation about this. Coming back to failure in itself, I would say that the number one thing to do, and certainly what I've done, is to ask myself, why did I fail? Because it's very easy to say 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Or why do they fail?
Yeah.
Why is it that they fail? And I'm not looking for common grounds amongst those 9 businesses. I'm saying for you yourself, you start a business, whether it's a car wash like what I do. Why do you fail? Is it because you ran out of money? Is it because you chose the wrong business partner? Is it because you were washing the cars at the wrong time? Is it because you weren't delivering a good enough service? Identify why you failed, and then go and fix that one problem for your next iteration. And the next iteration could very well be the same business. But to me, it's crucial to understand the problem. And so once you understand the problem, it's very easy to fix it. But you will fail, sure. Understand why you will fail, and identify it right down to one sentence that you can actually write down. I failed because I did not do this and that. I ran out of money. My shop was in the wrong place. A lot of places are closing because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
But it's easy to say, oh, they failed because of COVID. I don't buy that. Why did they fail because of COVID? If you have a retail outlet, why are you failing because of COVID? Oh, because I don't have enough feet in store. Okay, so what does that tell you? That tells you were completely dependent on people walking into your store.
Yeah.
Why did you not have an online store? Do you have any social channels? Ask yourself these questions and be really critical of yourself, and maybe even get people from the outside to say to you, this is how I experienced your shop, or this is how I experienced your business. And again, it's not to say that there is no general failure, but it's just to really understand that why it is that you fail. The second part of that answer is to start again. Start again. There is not a single champion in the world right now in athletics, in entrepreneurship, in business, that has not failed on their path to glory and greatness.
Yeah.
No one is born completely a champion.
Yeah.
If you read up all the stories, for example, Michael Jordan, I mean, he got rejected out of his first basketball team.
Yeah.
He didn't make it, he got cut. And he spent 1.5 years practicing. He spent his first summer at home alone practicing how to get the shots right, the 3-pointers. And now we look at him and we say, wow, what this amazing champion and what a success. But we don't see the year that he put in of hard work. When he got cut from the team, when he was told, sorry, you can't be a part of the team.
Sure.
So it's about starting again. And of course, once you've succeeded, later on people look back and say, wow, he was always meant for greatness. It's very easy to retroactively say, oh, it's meant for. But you've got to start again. So number one, identify why you failed.
Yeah.
Number two, start again.
I think it's great what Zac is saying, because what he's saying to you right now, it is massively important for you to take ownership of your failure. Take ownership of it. He said be overly critical of yourself, that you can never be wrong with that when it comes to failure, because ultimately you need to be honest with yourself. And I want to say this, I failed, my business bankrupted in 2015-16. This is what I did. I went back to my team members and I said to them, because all of them left the business, I said to them, why did you leave? You know the reason they gave me? You were a sore leader. The way you treated us was bad, and you were doing everything, including the things that you've asked us to do. And that's hard to take. That's hard to take. That's the reality. That's one of the many reasons. The second reason why I failed is because I mismanaged the finances of my company. And I took risks without consulting people, without any counseling. I just took risks. So what did I do when I started over? And before I started over, I spent 2 years researching about leadership. 2 years. And that's why I wrote my book, Start Up the Leadership Way, because I realized the key solution to starting up is knowing who to surround yourself with when you start up. But I did 2 years. I asked teachers, I asked a CEO of businesses, various individuals in position of leadership, and I said to them, what does leadership mean to you? How do you lead your teams? I still have the testimonies that they emailed me via email. And from that, I learned, and I'm still a growing leader. Secondly, very importantly, finances. I have delegated all the finances of my business. I'm not managing the finances of my business anymore. It's not even because I distrust myself, it's because I've realized that could be an area of weakness, and I'm not very good with it. So therefore, I have delegated it to a good friend of mine who's an accountant. And so before I make any decision with regard to the finances of the business, I consulted 2 people. And I have to pitch and explain to them why I think this is the right idea. So this is me being overly critical of myself and keeping myself accountable to my own business. And so don't just think failures happen. Ask yourself, why does it happen? And this is going to be the question that a lot of you are going to benefit from. And I've written it down here for Zac. And I'm going to say, now, why do you think, Zac, the South African youth need to consider entrepreneurship? And what may or may not happen if they don't? Why do we think the youth need to consider entrepreneurship?
Personally, I feel like if you believe in yourself, that's why you need to consider entrepreneurship. If you look around us and you look at the country that we live in, the economy that we have, you absolutely have to consider entrepreneurship. South Africa produces some of the best entrepreneurs out. I want to claim Elon Musk. I will.
And we can.
And we can.
He does say he's South African.
Absolutely. But the economy that we're in is simply not one to be employed. And even when you do get employed, you're at the mercy of the economy, you're at the mercy of your company. And so to me, I believe that if you look at entrepreneurship, there's 2 things. One, there's a level of freedom that it brings.
Yeah.
But number 2, it's that you yourself are contributing to a better community and society that you live in.
Yeah.
You're employing people, you're empowering people, you're bringing people on board, and you're taking people along that journey. And I personally get fulfillment out of that. But with an unemployment rate of 50%, if we want to be realistic about it, and an economy that looks the way ours does,
Yeah.
and the problems that we have, real fundamental problems, and access to technology that we have. How can you not consider entrepreneurship?
Very true, very true. I was invited on the radio a few days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, and I was asked a similar question, and I had a similar approach to what he's saying. And I want to share some of my insight to that radio station with you guys. If you guys don't know it, the economy is mostly run by two entities. I'm going to try to make it very simple, okay? So you guys can catch it. There are two entities running the economy. On the one side, you have the part of the economy called households, and that is the parents, the dads that are going to work. Okay, that's one of the entities in the economy. The other one is firms. Okay, so you have households on one side and then firms. Their interaction is what determines the strength of the economy. Okay, so what do households do, and how does this create the economy? Households supply labor. Okay, so they go into the market, they supply labor. That means they say, I want a job, I want a job, I want a job. That's your dad, your mom, the parents, or including yourself. If you're more than 60 years old, you are considered part of the labor market. Okay, so that you guys are supplying labor. The firms, on the other hand, they demand labor. So what they say is that we need people to come and work for us. Now, households are supplying labor in exchange for the salary that the firms are ready to supply them with. Okay, so that's the first transaction that happened in the economy. The second one, and you guys will understand why this is key. Okay, the second one is that now households. No, let me start with the firms. The firms supply goods and services to households, and then households buy these goods and services. Okay, so the firms make money by supplying goods and services to the households, and the households, by spending that money, that's how the firms make money. Okay, what happens with COVID is that people start losing their jobs. That means the supply of labor increases. More and more people start saying, I need a job because we have been laid off. Okay? More and more people start saying, I need a job, I need a job. Companies, on the other hand, try to sell goods and services, but unfortunately, they can't sell these goods and services because people don't have jobs anymore. They don't have a salary. So therefore, their stock of goods and services start piling up. It's not being sold. Then the ultimate outcome is that the economy is constipated. Because firms are not selling, households are not buying, therefore the economy is not running. I need to say this very importantly, okay? The government does not create jobs. All they do is to regulate the economy. The people creating jobs are the firms. They are the one in charge of creating jobs, not the government. The government is not responsible for creating your next job. That's not true. The American government, the American country's got over 400 million people. The government only employs 2 million people. The rest of these people are employed by people like the likes of Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, and all of these people. They are the one creating jobs. So I need you to wake up for a second and realize the job that you need won't be created by the government. It needs to be created by you or the person sitting down next to you. Okay. So when the labor cannot supply, when the household are supplying labor and that labor does not find a match in the firms, there's a problem. 3 problems happen here, and this is what we're living right now in South Africa. Problem number 1 is that labor has to be sold for cheap. So what you end up having is that engineer, because they can't find a job, end up being Uber drivers or waitress. That is the problem that we're having. So you have people that are being underutilized. That's the first problem when we have unemployment like we have. And currently unemployment in South Africa was 29% a few months ago. And as I speak to you right now, it went from 29% over the last quarter to 30%. That means we jumped from 16 million people without a job to about 19 to 20 million people without a job in South Africa. Okay? So these people, what do they choose to do? They have 3 options. They underutilize their skills. Second option is that they stay home and their skills get obsolete because they're not being used. Third options, they go into crime as an alternative because they need to make a living. So these are only 3 options. Now, what is the solution? The government doesn't create jobs, they only regulate. The household cannot create jobs. Their job is to supply labor. The solution is the firms. The firms need to create jobs. But now we have a problem again. And pay attention carefully. The big and large companies in South Africa are overstaffed. An example is Metro Rail. When you walk into Metro Rail, you see people sitting down at the ticket till. I think that's what you call it. You need to have your ticket and scan it. Do you know these people shouldn't be there? This computer should be able to scan your ticket for you to walk in. So The majority of companies in South Africa are overstaffed. These people are not needed. They are only taken because of the high rate of unemployment. So organizations like McDonald's, like Metro, and all of these organizations are overstaffed. Therefore, they can't create jobs. These people will stay in these companies until they're 60, until they retire. So they're not about to create new jobs. Therefore, the solution is not for current big organizations to create jobs. The solution is for firms to increase, and that means more and more people need to join this side where you have firms. More and more people need to start businesses so they can create jobs, so they can create a demand for labor, so that the people saying, I am supplying labor, can get a job. We are having right now in Africa the highest level of graduate unemployment we've never had before. Back in the days when our parents were growing up, if you had a degree, you knew you were going to get a job. This is not the same time anymore. Despite your degree, I have an MBA sitting down at home without a job. So I want to encourage you guys listening to us right now. We are taking the time to have this webinar because we want to encourage you and to say, your job lies in your hands. It doesn't lie in the hands of someone else. So please consider entrepreneurship. And we don't just want to let you hanging. That's why we put in place this organization called Entrepeleaders School. The purpose of this school isn't to make you a successful entrepreneur. No. There's no recipe for success in entrepreneurship. All we can do is give you the tools and the resources that you can apply to make yourself a successful entrepreneur. So I want to encourage you guys, if you guys didn't know, the website is going to be on our page, Facebook page. Go check it out, www.entrepreneurschool.co.za, and apply today. For the next 4 weeks, we're going to have a reduction of 1,000 Rand if you apply today between now and the end of August. And as we close down, we're going to go into your questions. But Zac, do you have any last suggestion, any last advice you want to give to our young people that are listening to us right now?
Turn your passion into your business. It's the most overused phrase everywhere that you can think of.
Yeah.
When I just moved back to South Africa from Australia, there's a guy I knew who loved sneakers. He was the most underrated guy. He was a white guy who's just looks boring. Like, you know, you used to work as an accountant at a local agency. He loves his Jordan. He knows everything about sneakers, all stars.
Yeah.
Whatever you've got, the guy knows his sneakers. And he also loved taking care of his shoes. And he started washing his shoes and using different products and experimenting with how can I wash my shoes to get them to be as clean as possible.
Yeah.
He started creating a product that he could use for himself, homemade. Fast forward to 8 years later, he now exports his products to all over the world.
Wow.
And it's one of the best products that I can recommend. It's called Sneaker Lab.
Oh, I know about that.
Sneakers, cleaning shoes.
Yeah.
Now, of course, back then, you think, what? You're giving up your job as a successful person in an agency to clean someone's shoes? But that is what I mean. Find your passion. What do you like to do? Another, someone I know called Johan, you know, he washes exotic cars. All the Ferraris, all the Porsches, all the Lamborghinis of South Africa. This is the man who's known as he knows how to wash your car properly. So, what is your passion? Is it cooking? Is it baking? What is it that you've got that you love? Find that and hone into it. The best advice that you will get is to make sure that whatever it is you're doing, you know it well, you know it intimately,
Yeah.
you're not scared to ask for help.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for that, Zac. Really appreciate. Before we close down, I'm going to just go through a question, but before we jump into that, if you have any question, if you haven't written down any question, I encourage you to write them down now. But we're being hosted at the Entrepreneur Hotel. I want to say thank you to Max, my friend, who has given us this incredible venue for us to have this webinar. And we're going to be having a lot more. The next one is happening actually on the 12th of September, and we're having an amazing entrepreneur, an incredible lady who's going to be joining us. Please don't miss out on that. But if you have any question right now, this is the time to write it down, and so we can just have a one-on-one real chat. There's nothing rehearsed here, so your question is going to be answered in real time, and we're going to give you a real answer. And if we don't know, we'll say we don't know. That's the reality of it. So feel free to comment below so we can get you some insight.
Hi guys, my name is Oba, and I am sending you this video all the way from Gabon, Central Africa. So I just want to tell you that I have been a student at Entrepreneur Leadership School session 2018, and I just want to share two important things. You know, I cannot share everything, But I'm just going to share 2 important things that have been really beneficial for me in order to start my small business. So, first thing is, I just learned that in order to become a great entrepreneur, you have to become a great leader. Because at some point, when you have a business and you are an entrepreneur, you're going to work with people. And you have to know that people need to be well managed. They need to be led well to a point to another. You have to lead them into the vision that you want for your business. So you have to become a great leader. Second thing is, I've always wanted to be a woman who can impact other young women like her, young girl like her. So you have to understand that when you're an entrepreneur, it's not just a business for yourself, but you are also...
Hello everyone, my name is Miles Bissett-Dowdy, and I attended the Entrepreneur School last year. Right now I'm running my wellness and fitness consulting business, and I just want to say how much going to taking those courses really helped me. For me, one thing I really enjoy the most about the Entrepreneurship School is the fact that as an entrepreneur, you also learn to be a leader first. And it's through leadership that you can assimilate and you can rally people to your cause. So there's something there's so much I still need to learn, but I really want to say a big thank you to Aaron and to the Entrepreneur Leadership course material that really gave me the confidence and the know-how to how to speak to people and how to connect with people's heart and how to drive a company by vision and passion and not just profit, because at the end of the day it's all about making impact, and this is what I've learned. Thank you.